Question. What's your question, soldier?
So I don't talk about this very much on the channel, but I myself am a very big fan of a little game known as Team Fortress 2. You might have heard of it, maybe not, I don't know, it's kind of obscure. It's my favorite game of all time. Period. I love it to bits. It's shaped not only my online presence, but my sense of humor and social connections as well. I would be a very different person if not for TF2. However, just because I love this game with all my heart, that doesn't mean I don't want to extensively critique its current state. Simply put, we've still got an ocean of problems, even after Valve got off their ass and paid a contractor to solve the bot crisis. I could theoretically make an hour-long plus video about all of TF2's current problems, but there's just no time for that right now. Instead, I'd like to discuss something that's been in the game for a long time, but is very much a hot topic in the community, at least it was earlier this year. I'm a little late to the party. This is going to be an issue that takes a lot of explaining for those non-TF2 heads that watch my channel, so while I'll do my best to give the gist, I can't promise a flawless and detailed documentation. Basically, after the game went free to play, Valve introduced their own official servers alongside a system known as Quick Play. All these boiled down to were typical servers with vanilla rules. They even showed up in the server browser and could be connected to through it, as well as other ad hoc connection methods like links and whatnot, so the Quick Play menu was completely optional. You had the choice of either pressing a button to automatically put you in a server, browsing the list of Quick Play servers to pick a specific server or map you want, or going balls deep into the server browser. It wasn't S-tier graphic design or anything, and it certainly had its issues, but it was simple, reliable, and easy to understand. It served the game relatively well, that is until July 6, 2016, when Valve pushed out the Meet Your Match update, which not only brought in the long-awaited competitive matchmaking mode that lots of people totally still play and isn't dead, but it completely removed Quick Play and replaced it with a different matchmaking system called Casual Mode. This not only changed how players connected to servers and removed the ability to join Valve's official servers through ad hoc connections, but changed the game's core rule set that completely shakes up how Team Fortress 2 as a game is played. Despite Quick Play only being in the game for about 4 years, casual matchmaking has been the status quo in TF2 for over 9 years now. Is it good?
No.
Just for a bit of personal background, I first played TF2 in 2015. On the Xbox 360. That version of the game never got a single content update and is identical to how the PC version first launched in 2007. I eventually moved over to the PC in early 2016 before the Meet Your Match update, so I did experience a few months of Quick Play even if it was about a decade ago now. If we can completely ignore the broken state of casual at launch and the incoming bot crisis that festered in the game for years, casual mode at its best just never felt right for me. I didn't really have the experience or maturity to comprehend why the game didn't feel the same, but what I did know is that I just didn't like casual and would always flock to community servers. It's my default option, specifically vanilla rule set servers nowadays, because it's no-nonsense TF2 without casual's limitations. If those aren't populated, even those 24/7 instant respawn servers can at least satiate my TF2 cravings, and they let me chill out and frag to my heart's content. Recently, I booted the game up on a Monday morning since I had the day off work. Unfortunately, most good community servers tend to fill up in the evenings, and the ones that were populated at the time were garbage. I decided to just swallow the pill and queue for casual mode for the first time in ages. And it was a painful reminder just how unbelievably terrible this system is and how we'd be much better off if it never existed in the first place. Today, I'm going to talk about the differences between the modern-day casual matchmaking and the old retired Quick Play system, and why casual is a downgrade in nearly every possible way. But to be clear, if you like playing casual mode, I'm sorry, but that is fine. We view the game differently, just like lots of people do. This is a very divided community, after all. Another thing, but for the sake of being completely fair to both sides of the argument, I'll be primarily comparing the current up-to-date version of casual we use in 2025 with the final rendition of Quick Play from 2016 prior to its removal. Neither of these launched in the greatest state, so to make the comparison as unbiased as possible, I'll be disregarding shit like Quick Play putting you in servers with predatory donator perks, or casual having exit penalties and no vote kicks. This stuff has happened and is worth addressing for historical context, but they aren't the most relevant to the topic at hand and what players are talking about in 2025. With that out of the way, let's begin. Grievance number 1, connecting to games. Due to the nature of a matchmaking system, they completely disabled manual server connections. To play casual mode, you are forced to use the game coordinator as it chooses a server for you instead of being able to pick one individually. During the Quick Play era, if the Valve server you were on wasn't really all that fun for you, you could just pick a different Valve server yourself in the same game mode, or even the same map if you wanted to. Meanwhile, in casual mode, if I don't like the specific server and I want to re-queue for the same map on a different server, I have to hope and pray that casual doesn't just put me in the same one again, and it's happened a lot over the years. Not only does this strip away any freedom of choice from the player, but it actively works against being able to find a game at times. If you want to queue for maps that aren't the most popular, there's a chance you'll either spend several minutes in the forced queue, or the game will just put you in a server from a different region with ping as high as the Burj Khalifa. Case in point, I decided to put this system through the ringer and queue for only Doomsday, as it's the only special delivery map in the game outside of Halloween. 30 minutes go by and I am not even put into a server. Now you might say that this is my fault for queuing for a map not very many people like. Normally I'd refute this by saying it's not my fault just for wanting to play a specific map, cherry picking maps is a feature after all, but I'll play devil's advocate and queue for something else for a more fair experiment. How about Hightower? It's one of the most famous maps in the game. It's the only one with a custom Smash Bros stage on Game Banana. I turn the queue on, and I get put into a server in less than 2 minutes, despite the bar not being very big. Good news! The bad news? That server I just connected to is in fucking Sweden! There were only 16 players in the server with a round already over, so my best guess is that the matchmaker was really trying to fill those empty slots for a game this late. But if it's across the fucking world, why would I want to be in here? So I leave, turn on the ping limit in the settings, which I'm surprised isn't on by default, re-queue, and give up after 10 minutes since I didn't get put into a server. Next, I queued for all of Payload Race and all the miscellaneous maps. Another 10 minutes go by, no game. These tests were done on a Wednesday and Thursday afternoon. I get that it's not the most popular time frame for this game, but there's gotta be some night shift folks like me out there looking to play TF2. For real though, you're telling me you cannot find at least a few more people in the United States at this time with Hightower ticked? Manual server connections gave players the choice of where they wanted to play, as well as enabled people to enjoy the game at any time. If a server or game mode was empty, they could still join if they wanted, pile in some friends, and have the possibility of stacking the server with other players. In casual, if niche maps or game modes are what you're after, you're going to spend a lot of time waiting in a queue, potentially to get into a shitty match. This drives traffic away from areas of the game that were already not very populated. There's no way to bypass it either. Valve removed their servers from visibility in the server browser, and manual ad hoc connections are blocked. After the Meet Your Match update came out, the Join Game button on the Steam Friends menu literally stopped working for Valve servers because of this. Later on, they made it to where the button just requests to join your friend's party, which I'll talk about later. And because of the restrictive nature of the game coordinator and the lack of foresight the developers had when putting the system into a game not designed for it, there's a chance the game will put you in a match that's nearing its end or is quite literally already over with the map vote active. This is a consistent thing casual does for me, ranging from 2016 to 2025. Grievance number 2. The user interface and user experience are dog shit. First of all, picking what you want to queue for involves toggling specific maps and game modes. Not a big deal to us veteran players, but to new players this is overwhelming. You're given this gigantic list of over 100 map names and only names. There's no visual for anything here other than game modes, which are just the old quick play artworks recreated in SFM. This is a huge problem because TF2's lack of general accessibility to newbies was already prevalent prior to Casual's launch. Now they can't even see what maps they're gonna play? Quick play wasn't great in this regard either, but at least you were only browsing servers and you got to see a picture of what the map looks like. A new player can browse Capture the Flag, look at Two Fort's photo, and think, this is a bridge that connects two bases which likely contain the briefcase. Not amazing, a description would be nice, but it's better than the fucking nothing we have now. I face this problem too with every update because they always add like 10 new maps and I know nothing about them other than a list of names, so I feel zero incentive to play them, that is if I even feel the need to touch casual. The menu itself doesn't do a good job of sorting game modes and makes questionable decisions for what gets placed into what list and where they are. Two Fort Invasion was under the fucking miscellaneous maps for like 5 years, next to gimmick maps like the Groot Keep and Watergate. There's nothing special about this map, it's just Two Fort, Capture the Flag and all, just with a different color palette and bombs placed around. And the miscellaneous modes list is always at the very bottom just above Manpower and Pastime, two dead modes no one touches. So of course getting into a map in the bottom half of the menu under alternative game modes is gonna take a while. The lack of information and haphazard design of this gargantuan map menu makes many players not even bother with what's outside the top of the list, leading to several maps and game modes being ghost towns, and worsening the problem with queue times. Sorry, you picked the wrong game mode to play today, so you're gonna have to sit here for who knows how many minutes while you twiddle your thumbs trying to find a match that took 5 seconds to join before we ruined the game. In regards to presentation, Casual was stuffed with shit from competitive mode for no real reason other than to make the game as comparable to comp as possible. This includes a cosmetic ranking that does nothing, and a weird-ass dramatic game timer featuring the administrator epically announcing the start of a game while everyone dicks around for 2 minutes, which does nothing but waste your time. The ranking is harmless, but when I say it does nothing, I literally mean it does absolutely nothing. Despite Casual using a skill-based matchmaking algorithm, you're bound to see a colorful rainbow of rankings across the scoreboard. The rank never goes down, it only climbs up with time. And frankly, this might just be me, but I think the ranks look hideous. The beautiful simplicity of the Team Fortress logo gets assaulted by an onslaught of stripes, stars, and neon colors. Seeing these all on the scoreboard looks like someone bought tacky Christmas lights from Dollar Tree. The pre-game timer feels pointless because it was originally designed to give players time to join servers due to the nature of matchmaking, and how everyone was placed at the start of a match when Casual launched. But since they changed that and now you can join matches at any time, this serves
zero purpose.
I guess it's there to hype up players before a totally radical match of TF2, but the ending of a match feels insanely anticlimactic in comparison. It just awkwardly cuts in the TF2 main theme, which plays on a loop while the fucking doors close. Good song, but I don't want to hear it at the end of every single game. Oh, did I say end of a game? Grievance number 3, the rule set. Here's how vanilla TF2 generally works, both on old-school Valve servers and quick play certified community servers. Once a team wins a round, a point gets added to their side. However, this doesn't contribute to any end goal. The appeal of winning a match in TF2 is, well, personal satisfaction and fun. The way a map ends is a fixed 45-minute map timer independent of round timers and how many rounds are played. This means that any game mode, no matter how fast or slow-paced it is, always goes on for 45 minutes at a time unless a successful map vote goes through early. At the start of a map, you play for 45 minutes no matter how many times you'll win or lose. Quite generous. It gives dedicated players plenty of time to battle the night away on a map they like, and it gives chill players a chance to hop in and hop out of servers as they please on any map they want. Casual works nothing like this. Instead of a universal 45-minute map timer, Casual has a round limit. Best of 3. One team wins 2 rounds and the game is over. This kills the flow of gameplay because some game modes are longer than others by nature, which is why the map timer worked so well in the first place. One of my favorite modes in TF2 is King of the Hill. The way the mode works is that there's a control point in the middle of the map that a team must capture to start their team's countdown. Once their 3-minute timer reaches 0, they win. Pretty fast paced, and a round can only last up to maybe 7 minutes at a time. Because of these fast rounds, the map timer worked in its favor. Casual's round limit and skill-based matchmaking facilitating stomps means King of the Hill is over in the blink of an eye. You barely get any time to play, it's just 5 minutes of one team getting railed. What was once an amazing mode in vanilla servers was ruined and neutered by this round limit. And don't worry, this round limit doesn't just fuck up King of the Hill, Capture the Flag is busted as well. This mode for some reason has a round limit of 1. Yeah, 1 fucking round and the game is over. CTF is already a polarizing mode due to inconsistent pacing, since CTF rounds aren't on a timer and only end once a team captures 3 times. They could go on for 2 minutes, or 2 hours. The map timer mitigated both of these outcomes by letting people play for a good amount of time while preventing infinite stalemates. Casual, on the other hand, means you're either spending more time on the pre-round timer than the game, or you're stuck in turbine hell for an eternity to make up for your sins. Because of the round limit making certain game modes unviable to regularly play, many players in Casual have gravitated towards Payload. It was already a pretty popular mode prior to the Meet Your Match update, but once players got accustomed to the round limit, they flocked to this mode in droves because the slow nature of the payload cart gives people plenty of time to play the video game. You'll be able to get around 20 minutes out of a payload match if you're lucky, and that's a hell of a lot better than the 5 minutes you'll get at a King of the Hill. This introduces another issue of disproportionate player spread across TF2's map pool, which adds to the problem of queue times on certain maps and game modes. This problem has even bled into vanilla community servers running the classic rule set because players still want to vote for payload maps. I still play on these servers regardless because it's good old TF2, but the amount of payload they play is nauseating. I don't even dislike payload, I think it's fine, it's just not my favorite. It's just frustrating as hell because even when I try to avoid Casual, most of what I see is payload, payload, payload. Payload on Borneo, payload on Badwater, payload on Gold Rush, and payload on Upward. Even my mother, she spent so much time pushing the payload cart that she—
Did she pass away?
No, she turned into one! This round limit and inconsistent match length leads into my next point, because this is probably the one that I noticed the most over the years. Grievance number 4, the pacing is atrocious. I already went over how the new rule set completely breaks the flow of moment-to-moment gameplay, but that's not the only thing that contributes to casual matchmaking being so difficult to work with when you just want to play TF2. You queue up for a game, and then you wait for the game search, and then you wait on the loading screen because this 2007 game still doesn't load very well. Then you wait for the 2-minute pre-game timer, which can reset depending on if certain players fail to connect, and then you wait for setup time if you picked payload or attack defend. And after the match ends, you then have to wait for the map vote, which lasts 30 seconds until it got shortened to 15. The map voting was added back in late 2016. You want to know when they shortened that timer? Summer 2025. Literally just recently. Back in Quick Play and today during community servers, map voting happened during gameplay with the press of a key. Now the map vote is saved for the very end, so you gotta wait for the vote to go through after finishing the final round. Oh yeah, and if you voted for the map you're already on back in Quick Play, the old server timer would just reset and the game would continue. In Casual, the map reloads entirely, leading to another loading screen and another pre-game timer. Back when the map vote was 30 seconds, it was actually faster most of the time to just leave at the end of a game and queue for the same map if it was populated enough. I know I said I wanted to focus on the most recent version of Casual, but it was like this for almost 9 years! And remember when I mentioned the game coordinator sometimes places you at the end of a game? Well, because of this, you can get placed into a match right before a map vote, only for the vote to end in the picking of a map you never even queued for.
God, I fucking love waiting so much!
Oh, and this is rich too. A decent chunk of the time, the map vote at the end of a game just breaks and doesn't work. It's been doing this since 2016. Breaking existing functionality is one thing, but breaking existing functionality while pretending it got a massive upgrade is downright comical. Case in point, Grievance number 5, the party system. The exact same party system lifted from Man vs. Machine. This feature was touted as an easy way to play TF2 with my buddies, but all it did was make it more difficult to play TF2 with my buddies. First of all, since ad hoc connections were disabled on Valve servers, like the solo queue, you're forced to use this dogshit party system to play with friends. The party caps at 6 players, likely because this is just the same party system lifted from MVM and Comp. Queuing up for Casual with friends actually adds to the queue times of those less than popular maps because it puts the matchmaking system in a coma trying to find a game appropriate for 2 players with different MMR. And if you're trying to queue for a friend's currently ongoing game, buddy, that's a lost cause. You're not getting in at all. You might as well just wait for their game to end and get them to re-queue with you, because by the time the game coordinator finally decides to put you in their game, it's about fucking over. Players who started after the Meet Your Match update actually talk about this party system as if it's a convenient new addition that improves the game, but you could very easily play TF2 with a friend during the Quick Play era. You open the server browser, click on the Friends tab, and it'll show you every server in TF2 currently being played by all of your Steam friends. It still does this to this day for community servers. But to make things even easier, you can click on your friend on Steam, and there's a Join Game option. That sent you directly to their server through ad hoc. These days, that button just sends a request to join them in this shitty party system. What's worse about the parties is that unless auto balance kicks in on someone in the group, you're guaranteed to be locked to the same team, meaning you can only play cooperatively in Casual. You can't play against your friends. And since this thing goes as high as 6 players, this enables groups to team stack and absolutely roll any game they go in. I ran into one of these groups back in 2018 and they invited me to be their 6th player. It felt almost criminal being able to exploit the party system to get free wins and a matchmaking algorithm explicitly designed to make fair and balanced games. Speaking of which, Grievance number 6, skill-based matchmaking. These types of algorithms are present in almost every modern PvP game today. Their purpose is to apply a matchmaking rating to a player, which fluctuates depending on their game performance, and it uses that to create an evenly balanced game for a competitive match. This barely works in 90% of games this is applied to. An algorithm like this takes player performance into account, not player intention or mindset. It just statically looks at numbers and puts numbers together that are close in value. The only way for competitive matchmaking to work in a video game would be for every single player to be sweating and playing their absolute hardest, which you just should not expect out of someone just wanting to have fun. You seriously expect every single one of your customers to absolutely grit their teeth and grind like they've never had sex? Wait. This leads to many matches in online games not being close whatsoever, and many players wanting to win becoming more and more irate, which is why so many of these communities are full of toxic assholes that belittle you for not treating it like an esport. It's also why gamer rage has been more prevalent nowadays than it ever has been before, especially in live streaming platforms like Twitch. So riddle me this, Batman. If skill-based matchmaking can't succeed in making perfectly balanced matches in the 6v6 or 5v5 competitively oriented games of today, how the fuck do you think it turned out for an old school game like Team Fortress 2? You get Casual Mode, a 12v12 stomp fest of epic proportions. Balanced games are a rarity in casual because of skill-based matchmaking, an algorithm haphazardly thrown into a game from 2007 which it was never designed for. You can find your MMR on Steam. Click on your Steam profile, go to Games, and on TF2 you click on the My Game Stats drop-down menu and select Personal Game Data. From there, you click on Match History, and right there at the top is Result Display Rating. That's your MMR used for casual matchmaking after the most recent match. What does this number mean? Where in the bracket are you placed? You don't know, and why should you know? You're just a little rat in a maze running around looking for cheese while an algorithm collects data on you. Your matches are rigged by design as an intentional feature. You're not allowed to have any fun in this game unless it's on our accord. You're gonna get stomped next match, and you're not gonna question the legitimacy of the skill involved. You're just gonna type GG in the chat and queue again and again and again. You ever wonder why your matches feel so one-sided? You ever wonder why the game coordinator takes so long to find a game for parties? You ever wonder why as a boomer in the community, returning to the game after not playing regularly for years never feels right? You ever wonder why modern PvP games feel so unfair and why not a single one is as good as the old ones? It's skill-based matchmaking, and it's fucked Team Fortress 2 inside and out. This shit barely works for structured and proper competitive games, so for a game as chaotic and wild as TF2, this just crumbles. Players in TF2 play the game for a spectrum of different reasons. They have many different playstyles or personal preferences. There's over 100 unlockable weapons spread across 9 playable characters for 3 slots each. The amount of loadout combinations, team structures, and individual player behavior that takes place in TF2 is simply incompatible with SBMM. The classic quick play rule set rectified potential balancing issues with team scrambling. This could either be voted in, or it could happen automatically if a team won too many rounds in a short time. Games could start out as clusterfucks but balance themselves out with time. But casual keeps them as clusterfucks since Team Scramble was removed from Valve servers in the Meet Your Match update, and it never ever came back. Combine this with the round limit, and basically every casual TF2 match is a steamroll. What worsens this is the fact that casual permanently disabled manual team switching. This was a core mechanic in TF2 since launch. There's a whole button on the keyboard to bring up the team select. You were freely able to join the other team if a slot was open, and you could also spectate anyone on the server if you were suspicious of any potential cheating. In casual, the period key does nothing. The skill-based matchmaking decides what team you're committed to before even loading you into the server. Because of this, auto-balance barely works in casual because of the matchmaker reserving slots on a team for players that are in the middle of connecting, or ones that failed to connect and were given a grace period to rejoin. The classic quick play rule set didn't have any of this. Players just join games as they please without a matchmaker pulling the strings and predetermining wins and losses before the match even started. Team Scramble nullified constant steamrolls, and auto-balance filled empty slots with someone on the opposite team in mere seconds. Were they perfect? Certainly not, but it's a hell of a lot better than how casual behaves. Skill-based matchmaking is entirely antithetical to a game like Team Fortress 2. The fact that teams are never balanced and the fact that the team switch key has done nothing in official servers for almost 10 years is a joke. Not to mention, this matchmaking algorithm breaks the game further than just balance. Starting in 2023, they started adding V-script game modes from the workshop into casual, which I don't feel like explaining what that is right now. The first of which being Versus Saxton Hale. VSH was unplayable in casual for over a fucking week. The matchmaker was designed to make balanced 12v12 games with MMR. Since VSH is 23v1 with a random player being chosen as Saxton Hale every round, the matchmaker simply collapsed and it just got stuck in a loading loop. The only way they were able to make it work was to literally break the matchmaker and give VSH a round limit of 30 so people could play for more than 5 minutes. I haven't played a single new workshop map since 2023, so I don't know if V-script game modes are a consistent addition in these seasonal updates. But if they are, and Valve insists on adding them every time while casual shits itself trying to handle them, why should they keep this broken matchmaking system on life support when they can just get rid of it and not have to deal with its problems every couple of months? And that was the big debate going on in the TF2 community, at least it was a few months ago before I joined late to the party just now. Should casual finally be removed from the game in a total reversion to the classic quick play system? In my opinion, the answer is clear as day. Quick play was quick. Casual is slow. Quick play was optional. Casual is not. Quick play let you play with friends on a dime. Casual makes you wait several minutes. Quick play servers were chilled out pubs that respected your time. Casual is a sweatfest that wastes your time with waiting and ends games as quickly as possible with stomps and round limits. Quick play gave you the freedom to pick servers. Casual has hidden MMR that affects the quality of your match. The only upside of casual I can think of is that you can queue for multiple maps at a time, but you can still just pick a server with your desired map in the quick play menu as well as the server browser. Casual didn't even launch with this feature. In fact, you weren't even allowed to choose a specific game mode at launch. Speaking of the launch, that's something kid me experienced firsthand when I was 13. I only started playing the game about a year prior, and only a few months prior on the PC version, but I did watch a few creators like Muselk and Funk who gave me further insight into how much there is to TF2. I learned of its updates and sporadic changes Valve would make on a dime. I saw the Tough Break Phlogistonator buff, the gunmetal skins, the shit show that was the Invasion update. And when Meet Your Match collided into the game, I figured it was just Valve clowning around as usual and things would go back to the status quo in due time. But the more time passed and the more Valve doubled down on casual, I was just confused. Is this TF2 now? Of course I flock to community servers, but as years go by, I keep having to migrate to new ones when existing servers die. During the pandemic, me and one of my best friends, GIlition, would frequent a server known as Cool TF2, and now it's just dead. I saw Meet Your Match as this weird shift in the way the game worked, but these days, 9 years after it happened, in hindsight, I'm pissed the fuck off. My favorite game ever has been plagued by this dog shit for 9 years. TF2, real TF2 with the classic rule set, has not been a thing on Valve servers for 9 years. The team switch key, an essential function in the game, has done nothing in any Valve server for 9 years. And frankly, I've had enough. I'm tired of playing shitty matches. I'm tired of searching for good community servers that are as obscure as a needle in a haystack. I'm tired of this broken, out-of-place, garbage, neato, casual matchmaking system that ruins Team Fortress 2 by its very existence. And I only went into the giant issues. This isn't even mentioning the queue just breaking for no reason and forcing you to restart your entire Steam client to fix it. This isn't even mentioning how the matchmaker goes into cardiac arrest every time a new batch of maps comes out. This isn't even mentioning the 7-year-long bot problem that has plagued this game and made it unplayable thanks to Casual's party system and in-and-out nature. This shit is pure fucking irredeemable trash and should have never even left the boardroom, let alone make it into the game and stay for half of its lifespan. I will stress this. The quick play system was not perfect, especially the automatic game queue, but at least you have the option to completely ignore it and pick the server that suits you best. Casual matchmaking is an invasive, slow tumor of a system that force feeds you bad matches and makes you wait minutes at a time between them. Before writing this script, I played casual on the Monday morning of September 29th. I queued for a bunch of different maps and got placed on Harvest, which is King of the Hill. I get placed into the last 10 seconds of a match in which I deal 70 damage, instantly die, and get force-fed a loss. I then waited for the map vote, waited for the server to reload the same map, waited over 2 minutes for the pre-game timer since it reset in the middle of it, and after all of that, we steamrolled the enemy team in less than 5 minutes. After that, the process loops. Queue, wait, stomp, vote, wait, stomp, vote, re-queue since it picked a map you don't want to play on, queue, wait, get stomped. This is cancer! How do people defend this thing? That's actually something I want to bring up next. There's plenty of people in the community that argue against the idea of bringing back quick play. Nothing wrong with that, we're entitled to our opinions, and plenty of these arguments are certainly more merited and understandable than others. Not very many, but some. I'm not just gonna write off every single pro-casual player as a stupid big dumb poo-poo head, but I do want to address a lot of the common rebuttals and arguments that are utilized in favor of casual over the old quick play system.
Quick play, it only put you in bad community servers.
This is what I meant when I said both systems launched in a rough state. TF2 is just that kind of game where implementations and new content is far from perfect upon their release. Essentially, community servers that ran the official vanilla rule set without plugins were eligible for showing up in the quick play menu, as well as the automated queue. Unfortunately, Valve was not very good at enforcing their rules, and predatory servers with pay-to-win elements found their way into quick play. Valve thankfully pushed these out in due time, and by 2014 they added a setting to only show and select Valve servers, which was on by default. Even then, like I said before, the queue was 100% optional, and you could just pick whatever server you want. Hell, the quick play UI as a whole was optional, and you were perfectly capable of picking a Valve server in the server browser.
Quick play would just be too hard to implement back into the game because it's been gone for so long.
Quick Play's UI was still accessible with a console command months after Meet Your Match came out. It was still perfectly functional, just not with Valve servers. The command was disabled in a patch later on, but the system itself remained in the files. Even then, it's really not much of a system, it's literally a menu. Not only that, but man vs. machine always functioned without matchmaking. You can have a game coordinator without casual's bullshit stacked on top. Quick Play used to do it, and man vs. machine still does it. You know, the game mode that wasn't touched in over a decade and is finally getting a new update with new maps. Also, the bot practice menu had the exact same template and style as the quick play menu. Guess what's still in the game and never got overhauled into the modern sidebar interface? All of the ingredients of pre-matchmaking TF2 are still present under the hood, and the rule set is effectively server settings, something anyone can do. All Valve needs to do is dust off that old menu, make some map photos for ones that were added after casual, like Pier and Mercenary Park, and run ad hoc servers with the classic rule set. It's not rocket science. If we were able to get a 64-bit build of the game, a fix for bots after 7 years, and an unmuting of free-to-play accounts which would sacrifice thousands of dollars in revenue from Valve, literally what is preventing quick play from coming back?
We should just improve casual and not revert it.
I can respect the mindset of this one, but the problem is that we gave them 2 years of updates to fix it, and it's still busted. Not out of a lack of polish, but by design. What is there to fix about endless loading and timers? What is there to fix about skill-based matchmaking? What is there to fix about removing ad hoc connections? What is there to fix about round limits? These aren't design oversights, this is the system working as intended. It's problematic at its core, it has to go for the sake of the game's health. Whenever you ask anyone with this argument how they would improve casual, their list of ideas just boils down to putting back in things that we had during quick play. Normally I'd be fine with trying to find a middle ground, but the problem is that matchmaking and quick play are entirely incompatible. There's no mixing these, it's like oil and water. We have proof of this with Casual's update history. When they added back auto balance, it's far less functional than its vanilla counterpart because the auto balance system butts heads with the matchmaker when trying to balance the teams due to slot reservation. Map voting's just worse as well and occasionally breaks with nobody in the server being able to vote. You can't mix these together.
Whether you like it or not, matchmaking is the modern standard.
Buzzwords. No argument here. It's just, this thing is new, therefore it's good. You might occasionally hear some comment about TF2 falling behind the times and needing to catch up with the rest of gaming, which shows such a clear lack of understanding of TF2 as a game and its player base.
Matchmaking and competitive gaming is the way of the future for modern games, and TF2 is just trying to keep up. We might lose some of you in the process, but it's just a sacrifice that needs to be made, because a team-based first-person shooter that doesn't appeal to the competitive gaming audience, that's what will kill TF2. Not Overwatch, not Valve fumbling with their development. The community's refusal to adapt to the current way of things is what will make TF2's death inevitable.
By the way, this argument of it being newer falls flat on its face when you remember that modern multiplayer games have the stigma of sucking dick unless you're an esports nut or a microtransaction whale. Although to be fair, the latter definitely does describe a decent chunk of the TF2 player base. Not to mention, TF2 is a game from 2007. Why would I care how quote-unquote modern it feels? I know I'm playing an old game, I'm fully self-aware of that.
You just got that opinion from YouTubers.
Or I quite possibly spent a lot of time playing this game and know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know, it's just a thought. Off topic, but if there's one thing I've noticed about the TF2 community is that they are far more obsessed with influencers than almost any other gaming community that I've seen. I know that a lot of people in the community who oppose the re-implementation of quick play are only taking that stance because a certain YouTuber they don't like wants quick play back. You know the one I'm talking about. You know, because A-logging and weaning a fucking YouTuber is 10 times more important than the health of the game that you claim to play and like. They value parasocial relationships over their own game experience. Think about that for a second. Can these people not think for themselves and have to rely on a stranger on the internet to tell them how they should feel? Do they need a YouTube video telling you that the game you are playing is dysfunctional and could be better despite the dumpster fire truth burning right in front of you?
I just think you're blinded by nostalgia.
Another non-argument. You can apply this to literally any old thing ever and then call it bad. I don't think listing off objective differences and pointing out the superiority of the old system is nostalgia bias. Not to mention, I consistently play on community servers using the old rule set, so I can confidently say that from a modern perspective that it just makes the game better.
New players are just used to casual by now. Reverting to quick play could cause a massive drop in players again like Meet Your Match did.
First off, this is insanely belittling to new players. You don't know what they think of casual. Maybe they'll hate it because of how abusive it is to fresh installs. TF2 already has abysmal player retention and very few of them stick around anymore. We have nothing to lose in that department, so if anything, quick play would just help in that regard. Second, those who installed after Meet Your Match never had the choices that quick play could offer. You think they're gonna see this old menu, still have the option to hit a put me in a game automatically button, see the ability to pick a server and a team, and get mad?
You know, if you install a custom HUD, you'll get a new quick play menu.
I actually got this response from someone in a game server when I brought the topic up in text chat. I don't know how true this is or if it's even possible, but I am aware of a website that recreates quick play by showing you community servers that run similar rules. This is a good way of finding vanilla servers and Uncletopia for some reason, but this goes to show that so many people in the community just don't know what they're talking about. That's not meant to insult anyone, they just don't know, they're uninformed. That's part of the reason I decided to make this video. Not only did I want to get this off my chest, but I wanted to give some information to those who might not know the whole story. But this video isn't just about comparing the two. I'm going to flat out say that quick play should be re-implemented into Team Fortress 2 alongside Valve servers reverting to the classic rule set with skill-based matchmaking removed. I don't think it absolutely has to be a complete reversion as much as I'd welcome that, as long as we have a manual server selection, ad hoc compatibility, and the classic rule set. I'm a happy camper. I know some people like certain things about casual, like the party system and the levels. They can keep those if they can find a way to make it work. Personally, I'd gladly throw the stupid neon badge in an incinerator if that means I can play the game normally for once, but they can keep that, it's harmless. And as long as the party system is optional and only serves to put all players in a group into the same automatic queue that you don't have to use, they can keep that too. Just get rid of the team stacking, that breaks the game. I just want to play the real experience again. I don't want to schedule my playtime just to be able to get into a populated vanilla community server. I just want a pick up and play option that respects my time and lets me play the game casually. And despite its name, casual matchmaking just doesn't do that. It's gotta go. Now, as for the possibility of it happening, there's understandably a lot of players who think it'll never happen. However, I am not one of those players. I was about a year ago, but in that time, the chances of us bringing back quick play have gone from an unrealistic pipe dream to a tangible goal. The demand for quick play has been back on the rise this year and has managed to get its way into mainstream TF2 discourse, for better or for worse. There was a similar small movement this year to unmute free-to-plays, and that movement succeeded. Valve undid a change that they put in place 5 years ago, which literally made them money while it was still a thing. Not just that, but last year was the well-deserved and sweet succulent death of the bots, as well as the surprise release of TF Comic number 7. Two things that some in the community doom posted would never happen, things that I thought would never happen. Valve has neglected the game for so long that the fans have been completely demoralized in regards to expecting anything other than workshop cosmetics and maps. And whenever you try to raise concern about a huge problem, nihilism instantly kicks in and they tell you to not even bother, or worse, they try to gaslight you into thinking that the state of the game is actually good. Stop asking for them to remove bots, it'll never happen. Stop asking for them to unmute free-to-plays, it'll never happen. Stop asking for comic number 7, it'll never happen. Stop asking for MVM content, it'll never happen. Stop asking for quick playback, it'll never happen. Maybe I'm just on a harder dose of copium than a Bloodborne fan, but methinks the cycle is happening again. Valve will listen to the community as long as they make enough noise. If you want the game to improve, talk. It's completely okay to voice concerns and ask for big changes, and it's not too late to introduce quick play. Let me tell you this, if one guy who's not even a full-time Valve employee can create a fix for the bots and a 64-bit version of the game, then I believe it'll be much easier for him to work on re-implementing quick play. Mr. Contractor, whoever you are, I salute you for your contribution to the game, and I believe you can bring this game back from the shit state it's currently in. The return of quick play would be very beneficial and might even spark a big TF2 renaissance. We're on our way there already with lots of bug fixes and good changes happening recently. It would be beneficial for server stability, beneficial for players, and beneficial for map developers who make the content that keeps this game flowing in the first place. Everybody wins from this. Community servers would also take a win from this since their visibility can be boosted in the quick play menu. Speaking of which, there's recently been an uptick in vanilla community servers, so you have lots of options to play something close to Valve's quick play. These options do get the job done, but they're not quite pick up and play due to either being full most of the time or only filling up at specific times. Some are much better than others, so I recommend you explore options and decide which of these servers are right for you. Serverbrowser.tf is a solid tool for browsing TF2 servers without using the shitty source engine server browser. A server I tend to frequent is Castaway, which also runs weapon reverts, undoing a lot of controversial nerfs found in updates like Mate Your Match. Server culture is very edgy and not everyone's thing, but it's certainly not toxic, and I can breathe a sigh of relief knowing I don't have to worry about ridiculous moderation. That's the thing with community servers too. Server culture tends to vary wildly. You're gonna have to pick between 2000s core shit talking or 18 plus furry smut servers. Both are certainly preferable to casual from the gameplay experience alone, so I tend to put up with it. But seriously, Valve, why do I have to play on a furry server just to play the normal game without putting up with your crap matchmaker? The day casual gets removed entirely with Valve servers running the old rule set with no skill-based matchmaking and open connections, I will be over the goddamn moon. I'm not gonna bet on it entirely, but I will say it should happen, and it's entirely feasible and good for the game, especially after Scream Fortress released while I was writing this. Casual broke even harder than it ever has before with this update. People couldn't get into games and the map Afterlife was completely unplayable for days. And yes, that is on the matchmaker and not the map, because I played that map on Castaway in the B-roll that you saw near the beginning of this video, and it worked perfectly fine. Casual's matchmaking algorithm was basically just copied from competitive, a mode with a microscopic map pool in comparison to the rest of the game. It could barely handle the 60 or so maps that were in Casual at launch, so how well do you think it's going to handle, let me see here, 182, what the hell? This thing is tearing itself apart trying to handle this many maps. It's spreading an already not huge player base even thinner. If Valve supposedly cares about the stability and playability of their game, they have one of two options to pick from. Option 1 would be to stop adding maps, and that's certainly not going to go over well with the workshoppers that enable Valve to sit on their ass and collect free money from this game in the first place. Option 2 is getting rid of Casual. Quick play would not have these kinds of matchmaking issues, they're just simple servers without an unnecessary middleman that accomplishes nothing but instability and stomps. Now is a better time than ever to reconsider keeping Casual's current form in the game. It's slowly crumbling at the foundation thanks to all these maps being crammed on top. That's all I wanted to say though, it's been on my mind a lot and I figured I'd at least contribute to the conversation in some way, shape, or form. I'll see y'all around.
Tell me you haven't been listening to those purists again.
I'm trying to hold the multi-billion-dollar corporation accountable for their neglect of the game. You act like it's a bad thing.
It is a bad thing, Bob. Scaring off the few developers we have left from a company that won't replace them and losing any chances of new content or fixes again so you can relive the glory days is a very bad thing.
Reliving the glory days is better than acting like they didn't happen.
Yes, they happened. But the current uptick in content is what's happening now, Bob. And you're missing this. I can't believe you're upset about the return of regular content updates.
They're not content updates. They're shoveling shit from the workshop into gambling cases for free money.
It's a seasonal tradition.
It's psychotic. They keep creating new ways to celebrate mediocrity, but as soon as someone in the community does something genuinely exceptional...
This isn't about you, Bob. This is about the game.
You want to do something for the game? Then get rid of the root problem that got us here in the first place. Bring back quick play.
I will not be made the enemy here. You know why Valve won't do that.
Because it would make the game more fun!
This is not about you!